everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Roll of Reads Readathon TBR. The Roll of Reads is my TBR game that I play every single month to determine what books I will be reading throughout the month. In March, I am actually running a readathon that is the Roll of Reads Readathon. I am really excited to be running this readathon and really excited to see all the different people that are interested in participating. If you would like to participate in the readathon, then I strongly suggest that you go and check out my announcement video, which I will link in the description below, as well as in the eye up above. The announcement video has all of the information that you need in order to participate in the readathon, as well as the information about the giveaway that I will be running throughout the month of March. So in order to find out exactly how you can enter the giveaway and potentially win a book for yourself, then like I said, I would suggest you go and check out the announcement video. It is a little bit long, but the majority of that is actually me going through all of the prompts, explaining what they are, what they mean, and why they're there. So if it's a little long, then you can go ahead and watch the first 16 or 17 minutes of the announcement video, where you get all the information about entering the giveaway, participating in the readathon, all of the stuff you need to know. And then go and check out the TBR prompt cards and also the prompt cards explanation document. All of that is in the description of the announcement video, but it's also in this description as well. So if you don't have time to watch the entirety of the announcement video with all the prompts, you can go ahead and read that at your leisure. If you are participating in the readathon, one of the things that I did say was that if for whatever reason printing out or creating your own prompt cards and board is something that you're not able to do, then you can use my rolls for my TBR to make your TBR as well. Of course, that means that if I get any punishments, then you will also get punishments, but it's just a way that you can participate in the readathon if for whatever reason, like I said, printing those out or creating your own is something that you're not able to do. So in this video, I will very briefly give you a rundown of the gameplay and the rules, but like I said, for all the information, if you are wanting to participate in the readathon, I do strongly urge you to go and check out that announcement video so you can get a play-by-play and everything. Also in the description below is the playlist of my Roll of Reads so that you can go through and watch the gameplay if that's something that will help you with understanding, or if you just enjoy this video and you would like to get more Roll of Reads. So the first thing you need to do in order to play the game is have a game board, which I have here. In the description of this and also the announcement video, I have created a game board. You can go ahead and print that out if you would like to, but this is the one that I use. You need a board that has 1 through 20 places on the board. Then you need the prompt cards. Now for the readathon, I have created prompt cards that are specific to the readathon and slightly different to the prompt cards that I use for my regular Roll of Reads. So you need to have your board, then you need to get the prompt cards, give them a shuffle and place 1 through 20 out on the spaces on the board. When I play the game, and what I'll be doing today is I will be using a D8, which is this dice here, to determine how many rolls I'll have to do and therefore how many books I have to do. So if you are using this roll as your TBR, then you'll just get whatever I get on the 8-sided dice. But if you're doing the TBR yourself separately, then you can determine how many rolls you're going to do, however works best for you. Use a D8, use a D6, use a D20, or just decide on a number that you want to roll. Once I've determined how many rolls I have to do, I then take my D20. Now, the way it works is that I roll the D20 the required number of times, and then whatever number I land on, I pick up the card on that number, and then I use the prompt to find a book. If throughout the gameplay I roll a 1, that means that I have to add another roll to the overall rolls that I have to do. If I roll a 1 more than once throughout the gameplay, then I just have to keep adding rolls. If I roll a 20, then that is basically whatever you want. So there will be a card on the 20 space, and you can use that card to have the prompt if you want to, but you can entirely ignore that. You can in fact entirely ignore that roll. So let's say you have 5 rolls you have to do overall. The first 3 you get a 1. That means that you now have 8 rolls. Then if you roll a 20, you can decide to skip it entirely because you've already got lots of rolls. Or you could use it to add a buddy read, or if you want to join in a read along or a book club, then you can use it to add those. Whatever you want to do is what happens with the D20. If you roll the same number 3 times, then you have to add a roll as well. So those are the rules of the game, and that's the gameplay basically in a nutshell. Like I said, if you would like to, you can use what I'm about to roll as your TBR. Use my rolls, use my prompts as your TBR, and then just use the prompts however you want to get the books you want to read. So you obviously don't have to read the books I end up choosing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and set up the game board and film it obviously as I do that, and then do the rolls. I'm going to do all the rolls together in one go, and then I'll go through and show you what cards we get and talk you through the prompts, and then I'll show you what books I'm going to read for those prompts, just so that if you're using this roll as your TBR, then you can write it all down or whatever, and then you'll know what prompts you'll need, and then I'll talk through my books like I said at the end. So let's go ahead now and set up the board and do those rolls. So I've already shuffled these cards, but I'm just going to give them a very quick shuffle again. That's a really terrible shuffle, but like I said, I've already done it, so not too worried. And then I'm going to place the cards. Alright, I'm going to roll the d8 to see how many rolls I'll have to do and also how many you will have to do if you are choosing to do it this way. 4. Alright. I think that's doable. Go with 4. Alright, so rolling the d20. 20! Hey! So remember, we can do whatever we want with a 20. Nostalgic vibes is the prompt. Awesome. Alright, and replace that. Alright, let's go again. That was number 1. Roll number 2. 11. Featuring a magical or mythical creature or on the cover. Nice. Place the card. Alright, and let's roll again. I'm going to roll it onto the board this time, see what happens. A 19. Okay. A beautiful cover. Very nice, very nice. Replace the card. Oh, we've got a helper. Shade. Shade, can you just not maybe for like 5 minutes? Ow. Okay, let's try again. Alright, this is the 4th one. If we don't get a 1, this will be... We didn't get a 1! Woohoo! That was a 10! 10, 10, 10. Alright, 10. Main character over 30. Alright. So, I think we did pretty well in those rolls. Roll of Reads was definitely being nice to us, especially since we rolled a 20 and no ones, and we did not repeat a number. So, yay us! Well done, everyone. The Roll of Reads is usually not quite this nice to me, so I think it's being nice to you guys if you're using my TBR. Alright. So as you saw, we got 4 rolls that we needed to do. So let's go ahead now and talk through all of the prompts that we got. So on the first roll, we got a 20, which, like I said, is up to you what you do with it. So the card on number 20 was Nostalgic Vibes. So for Nostalgic Vibes, you can essentially use this however works for you. It needs to be a book that gives you nostalgic vibes in some way or another. So it might mean that you read a childhood favourite. It might mean that you read a book that takes place the year that you were born or was published the year that you were born. It might mean that you read a historical fiction set in your favourite period of history. However it is that you interpret nostalgic vibes is up to you, but that's what that one means. But like I said, it was a 20, so you could choose to entirely ignore this prompt and you can do whatever you want. Like I said before, you can put in a buddy read, you can put in a book club read, you can put in a read-along read, you can make it into a mood read, you can decide to make it a mood read but you'll pick it at some point throughout the month. However you want to do this one, it's entirely up to you. So go us for getting a 20. What an amazing way to start our rolls. So that's our first one, nostalgic vibes, but also wildcard, do what you want. The next roll, we got 11, and for this, it is a book featuring a magical or mythical creature, or the magical or mythical creature can be on the cover. So just put that there. What this means is any magical or mythical creature that is in the plot or features on the cover. So it could be a dragon, a mermaid, anything that is a magical or mythical creature. There is a little bit of a sneaky thing with this one, and it's because I based this prompt on the fact that Australia has a lot of animals that aren't found anywhere else in the world and have taken on sort of quasi-mythical status. So if you want to, you could read a book that features an Australian animal or has an Australian animal on the cover. That's a little bit of a cheeky way of getting around that one if you want to. But yeah, that is the next roll we got. For roll number 3, I got the number 19, and for this one, we got a beautiful cover. So again, this is entirely open to your own interpretation. A book that you think has a beautiful cover will work for this one. Any book that you think has a beautiful cover. And the final roll number 4, and unbelievably it is in fact the final roll because we didn't roll a 1 and we didn't roll the same number 3 times, so I'm absolutely amazed by that. But anyway, the prompt for that one is main character over 30. So basically this is because I am actually in my 40s, but I thought that making a main character over 40 might be a bit tricky, so it is main character over 30. They can, of course, also be 30. Any of the main characters doesn't have to be the main character. It could be, one of the main characters. But yeah, that's that one. All right, so those are all the prompts that I got in my TBR. If you are using this TBR to create your own TBR, those are your prompts. Go ahead now and pick your books. However, if you are not, or if you just want to watch what my TBR will be, I'm going to talk through that now, and also at the end I will talk through some of the books that I'm thinking of reading on top of this TBR, because it's not super long and I think I'll be able to fit a few more in. So let's start off with nostalgic vibes. For this one, I have decided to read Feet of Clay by Terry Pratchett. So I'm actually reading this as part of the Tearing Through Time, which is being run by Paige from Pages with Paige, Cara from Bianca Reads, and I think another couple of people. I'm not 100% sure. There's a couple of ways that you can do this. So Cara from Bianca Reads and another person, like I said, I can't remember who, is reading this series in chronological order, whereas Paige and I think Jax from Jaxie Jax Reads is reading it in series order. So if you don't know, the Discworld novels are a series of books written by Terry Pratchett that all take place in the fantastical, magical land of the Discworld. The Discworld is a flat disc of a world that travels through space on the back of 4 giant elephants who stand on the back of Great Achuan, who is a sky turtle. And it is a fantasy world full of vampires, witches, werewolves, dwarfs, humans, all sorts of different creatures. It is, as I keep saying, a fantasy world and a fantasy series, but really the fantasy is a vehicle to discuss society and comment on the way that we live and what we believe in. So yeah, I'm going to be reading this one. This is the 3rd book in the City Watch series, which is a series that takes place on the disc's biggest city, Ankh-Morpork, and is all about the City Watch in Ankh-Morpork. This is a reread for me. I absolutely love Terry Pratchett, and it's nostalgic vibes because I first started reading Terry Pratchett when I was in my 20s and I was living in share housing at university, and most of the people that I was living with at the time absolutely loved Terry Pratchett and talked about They're Discworld all the time, so I started reading them, and so it's nostalgic for me because it's a series of books that I've loved for over 20 years, but also it's a series of books that make me think of those days when I was at university doing my undergrad degree and just living the university life. So yeah, that's that one. Next up, I got Featuring a Magical or Mythical Creature, or on the cover. Now, as I said before, for this one, you can choose to read a book that features an Australian animal. And so that means that I've actually decided to read The Disappearance of Ember Crow by Amberlynn Quay Molina. This is the second book in a trilogy called the Tribe Trilogy, and it is a dystopian series of novels, and it takes place in a land that is very reminiscent of Australia, and some of the creatures that live in this land are giant goannas. Goannas are a type of lizard that are endemic to Australia. I think it works for that reason. Not a magical or mythical creature per se, although in the series there are magical elements that have been added to these lizards. But yeah, the main reason is because they are endemic to Australia. So as I said, this is the second book in a dystopian series that is set in a land that is very reminiscent of Australia, and it is about a group of people who have paranormal powers, and they are shunned and often captured by the people in power and put into prisons, and this tribe have kind of escaped from that system and are living kind of on the lam. So I really enjoyed the first one. It's been a while since I read the first one, so hopefully I'll remember enough to enjoy the second one. But yeah, I will be reading The Disappearance of Ember Crow by Amberlynn Quay Molina. I will say, if you enjoy the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon, I think you will like this one. It is kind of similar in the way that if you have certain sort of paranormal powers, then society doesn't like you. Yeah, so I think that there are some parallels there. But anyway, this is the book I'll be reading. The next prompt that I got was a book with a beautiful cover. For this one, I will be reading Caraval by Stephanie Garber, which I don't actually own, so I'll probably have to borrow from the library, which is why an image of it is here. This is the book club book that we'll be reading for the Last to Read book club, which is my book club that I run with Ellie from Elgro Books and Lana from Lore and Lullabies. So Caraval is our March book, and I'm really excited about this one. I've heard really great things about it. I don't know a huge amount about the storyline. I know that it is set in a circus and it's fantastical, and that's about all I know. As you can see, the cover is just stunning, or I think it is anyway, and so it works for beautiful cover, which is perfect because it being my book club, I will need to read it. So that's for beautiful cover. And the final role that we got, main character over 30. So for this one, I've decided to read The Murder of Mary Russell by Laurie R. King. This is, I think, the 14th or 15th book in the Mary Russell series. I'm not going to go into detail about this particular book, partly because I don't know exactly what's going to happen, partly because it's quite far into the series. I say this is one of my favourite series of all time, but I haven't actually finished it yet, so yeah. But anyway, this is a retelling of the Sherlock Holmes stories. So it features Mary Russell and Sherlock Holmes, and in the first book, when Mary Russell was 16, she quite literally ran into the retired Sherlock Holmes on the Sussex Downs. They had a bit of a conversation on this occasion, and Sherlock Holmes discovered that Mary Russell was incredibly intelligent and observant, and he offered her to be his apprentice and to learn how to be a detective. So she starts to spend time with him and to learn how to be a detective, and the series goes from there. This one, like I said, is book 14 or 15, so quite a lot has happened in between. Not 100% sure, like I said, what happens in this one, but it is not the final book in the series, so I don't actually think that Mary Russell will be murdered, but we'll see where we go. How it fits in is that Sherlock Holmes is in his 60s in this series. He is one of the main characters. The main character is Mary Russell, and it's told through her perspective. She is, by this stage, I think in her late 20s, so it doesn't quite fit for that one, but because Sherlock Holmes is one of the main characters, he is in his 60s, and I think this one actually might be dual perspective and has Holmes's perspective as well as Russell's. But yeah, that's the book I'll be reading for main character over 30. So those are the 4 books that I'll be reading for the TBR for the game, but I do have some other books that I'd like to try and get to throughout the month of March. So first up is the Recreate Book Club's book, which is Cinderella is Dead, and again, I don't own that one, so it'll be on the screen. This is a club that is run by Becca from the Becca Fowl and Ashley from Ashley's Media Addiction, as well as Rachel from Rattle the Stars. It is a club where they read books that are retellings of myth or fairy tales or something along those lines. So Cinderella is Dead is a retelling of the Cinderella story. I don't know a huge amount about it. I know that it takes place 100 years after Cinderella has died. So Cinderella was an actual person in this story, and it was 100 years ago, and now there is, I don't actually know. I don't know a huge amount about it, but it sounds really good. I know Becca absolutely loves it, and that's why she's picked it for the book club. I enjoyed taking part in January with the book club reading Law, so I'm looking forward to taking part again in March. Another book club that I'd really like to join in with is Chloe's Crime Scene Corner. This is run by Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. I'm not 100% sure what the title of the book is, but I'll put the image of it up here. But it is a non-fiction, and it is told it's told by the parents, or one parent, possibly more than one parent, of one of the children who was responsible for the Columbine massacre. So I think it's going to be incredibly hard-hitting and probably very difficult to read, but also quite interesting, and yeah, I'd like to take part in that one if I can fit it in. I have to be honest and say that's probably at the lower end of what I'm prioritizing in March, but I definitely want to try and take part in it. Another book that I'll be reading throughout the month of March is Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zuzak. Again, I don't know a huge amount about this one. It is about I'll just read the blurb to you. The Dunbar boys bring each other up in a house run by their own rules. A family of ramshackle tragedy, their mother is dead, their father has fled. They love and fight and learn to reckon with the adult world. It is Clay, the quiet one, who will build a bridge for his family, for his past, for his sins. He builds a bridge to transcend humanness, to survive. A miracle and nothing less. So I think it sounds really interesting. If you don't know, Marcus Zuzak wrote The Book Thief, which is a book that I really, really enjoyed, so I have high hopes for this one. It is quite a chunky one, 580 pages long, so hopefully it won't be too long to read, but it'll probably take me a little while. I'll be buddy reading this with my friend Michelle, so I'm looking forward to reading this one with her. And then my friend Alison and I are currently reading Muse of Nightmares. Hopefully we will get that finished in this month, February, which means we'll be reading another book in March. We usually take longer than a month to read the books, so we'll probably start another book in March. Whether we finish it or not is another story. Not 100% sure what it will be at this stage, but we have 3 options that we are choosing from. So Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, or A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dobos, I think. One of those books we will be at least starting in March. So this is the stack of physical books that I will be reading in March. Then I have Caraval by Stephanie Garber, Cinderella is Dead, and then there is the book for Chloe's Crime Scene Corner, and then there is one of the books that Alice and I will start. So potentially quite a big TBR, but anyway, that's the way it goes. And that's it from me today. If you have any thoughts on any of the books that I have chosen, if you have any questions on any of the prompts, or would like any recommendations for any of the prompts, please comment all of that below. If you're planning on using my roles for your TBR for the Roll of Reads Readathon, please comment that below. If you're also just planning on going in the Roll of Reads Readathon, please comment that below as well. Any questions that you have about the Roll of Reads Readathon, please do comment that below also. I have put the Twitter in the description below as well, so you can go ahead and find me over on, or find the Readathon over on Twitter. Also, you can find me over on Twitter as well. But anyway, please comment any thoughts that you have, any questions that you have in the description below. If you would like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me the circus tent emoji if there is such a thing, or something along those lines for Caraval. As I said before, my Twitter and all of my other social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.